A lot of people ask us for sage for smudging, and it seems as though smudging is, of course, very popular with Native American people, but it's also very popular with what we say metaphysical and New Age people too. They kind of suggest it's cleansing with smoke. Of course, cleansing with smoke has been done for as long as there's been man, I'm sure. But in the native tradition, Native people would erect a longhouse in areas where there was a tremendous amount of cold weather. And sometimes the longhouse was extremely long. I mean, it was like, 300 yards wide, 50 yards wide. And what would happen was the whole tribe would go in there during the winter. Well, they didn't want all the bugs that were in the construction of the longhouse to come and then attack them while they were in there in the dark. So what they did was before the winter came, they would go through the longhouse and they would smudge. And they would take a lot of sage, grass, sweetgrass, all kinds of things, and they would smoke the whole inside of it so that the bugs would run away. Later, this became something very sacred, and they would smudge for purification of stones, purification of different water, purification of anything that you could think of. We put out a tremendous amount of sage. Our most popular happens to be white sage in the stick. We usually tell people that they burn too much because if you're taking a stick like this and you're lighting the end of it, there's no accelerator on it, so consequently it's going to go out after a while unless you have a whole pile of it. I was privileged to go with the Gavrilano Tonka tribe when they blessed the local police department that opened here a couple of years ago above Roscoe Boulevard to bless it. And they must have taken about 30 of these sticks to create some sort of a smudging. And the mayor was coming and the chief of police and everybody. There's smoke all over the place. It's very interesting. We left after the blessing ceremony, and I have no idea how they dealt with all the smoke that was there. But we also put out little smaller packages of sage. This is white sage once again. And we tell people all you need is, because it's spiritual intent, just a little bit, because it's supposed to be just the symbol of what you want, calling down the Great Father, the Great Mother, and the Great Mystery too. And then of course we have a wide variety of other sage too. This is called sweetgrass. We put a little story here about how it brings the buffalo, because back in the day when natives were hunting, the buffalo, we didn't have horses of course, but the buffalo would travel over the Great Plains, tremendous distances and millions of them from Canada all the way into Mexico. And what happened was the grass would grow. The following year it would be a thicket. The following year after that it would be thorns, sometimes a little bit longer than that. And so firewalkers would go through the plains and set it on fire, because the following year after setting it on fire the grass grew again. So what they say is that sweetgrass brings the buffalo. And what's happened these days when people have a sweat lodge, usually what they do is they lay the sweetgrass over the hot coals too. And as you can see, we have a tremendous selection of not only sage here, but also incense. A lot of people like incense. Most of the ones we get are imported from India. These from India have different metaphysical values, all of which I don't happen to know. But we also have a large selection of abalone shells. We get some really spectacular ones, because people like to use these for not only smudging, and we encourage them, if they use such a beautiful shell as smudging, to put a little bit of sand in the bottom or something like that so that they don't tarnish the beauty of the shell. In the native tradition, having the Great Father, the Great Mother, and the Great Mystery, the abalone shell lies closest, of course, to the Mother Earth. Consequently, it signifies the Great Mother. Some people in the metaphysical community take these, and what they do is they'll put little clusters of stones in there that have their own meaning too. We have more smudging over here. This happens to have this happens to have lavender with it. And then we also have things like copal, which is used by Mesoamerica. We get it in bulk and make it into smaller packages, because when it comes in the packages like that, it's quite expensive too at the same time. So we try to give people a better price on it. Smudging is very popular. We have people calling us about it all the time. We do appreciate it, of course, being a Native American store, and a New Age store at the same time. We have a very large selection. Please come and see, and sometimes we're a little low, but hardly ever, and we encourage you to visit us at our store. Thank you very much.